My name is Ryan Zimmerman, Director of Business Development at VKS, and this is my colleague Kyle O'Reilly. We'll be looking to present a couple interesting different things today, really focusing on Industry 4.0 and connecting the operator to the wide array of technologies that are available to ensure that they can be effective in their tasks. So prior to getting into that, we'd actually like to give a bit of an introduction as to who we are and where we come from. And then from there, again, jump into this topic of transitioning to a smart paperless factory and connecting the worker with relevant information. Oh. There we go. Sorry about that. So again, the first thing we'd like to do is, again, introduce our company. So we actually have a bit of an interesting story. Our software was actually originally developed by a manufacturing organization based out of Montreal, Canada. And this company was a very diverse organization. They built products for a wide variety of industries, ranging from aerospace to medical to automotive. And they were essentially a high-mix, low-volume company. So a lot of different products going through the shop. We're talking thousands daily. And some of these products may actually come back every day, and others may only return once every 6 months or once a year. So what happened was that it was very, very difficult for them to actually remain effective as they were operating. Now, in addition to having this high-mix, low-volume environment, this organization was also vertically integrated. So any of these products that were going through the facility were actually going through multiple different operations at any given moment. So we're talking about fabrication procedures to assembly, welding, machining. So again, a very, very diverse environment. And what they realized was that as they were actually working, anytime they would put an emphasis to improve quality, they would actually affect their productivity negatively. And then when they would focus more on the productivity, they would actually impact their quality results. So they were always trying to search for ways that they could actually improve both of these facets within their organization. And it was at that time that they did some research about 8 years ago to see what types of solutions were available on the market to actually help them improve their operations. So one of the main things that they had actually identified was that if they were able to provide detailed information for their operators, so step-by-step work instructions on how to do each task, they would actually be able to improve their operations significantly. So the company originally created the VKS software solution and implemented it at their facility with about 350 employees. And they actually saw about a 20% increase in productivity across the shop simply by standardizing on these best processes. Now, in addition to that, they saw about a 95% reduction in defects in a few select work centers. So really, this was quite outstanding, the results they saw, and it was at that time that they decided to commercialize the VKS software and make it available to other companies across North America and the world. So from here, what I'd like to do is actually, Kyle will be speaking a bit more about what the VKS software actually does today and some of the different modules that it's composed of.
Thanks, Ryan. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how the software actually functions. So we have 3 different modules of VKS. First one being VKS Lite. So VKS Lite, the real focus is work instructions. It's about going paperless with your documentation, whether that be work instructions, training material, maintenance procedures, anything that you want to standardize on and have somebody follow in a step-by-step format and go paperless with and more visual. So we have a built-in editor mode that allows engineers or anybody working for a company to use a combination of images, video with some text to build step-by-step procedures. It also allows you to add annotations, arrows, highlight the areas of importance on each step. There's Google Translate built in for multilingual platforms. And essentially it's just a much more efficient and easier way of building your documentation and maintaining them. From an operator's point of view, it's something that's very simple, easy, and intuitive to follow along with. So it's browser-based, so it's accessible from absolutely any sort of device that can open up on a browser, whether that be a tablet, iPad, computers. Everybody logs in individually, so you know who's doing what. They open up the process and they follow along as they do the job. So I think, coming off of what Ryan was saying, a little bit about our background and our history, coming from a manufacturing company is one of the biggest advantages that we got is knowing firsthand how simple and easy something like this needed to be for a shop floor operator to use it as a companion every single day. right? So big buttons, flashy colors, very easy to navigate throughout. And we spent a lot of time working on the user interface. So the main fundamentals of VKS in general is VKS Lite. It's work instructions, it's paperless, and it's digital. The next module of VKS is professional. So where VKS Lite focuses more on going paperless and digital with your work instructions, VKS Pro focuses more on going digital with your checklists. So within this module, you're able to embed inspections, sign-offs, quality checks directly into the processes. So at the appropriate times, operators getting prompted with their inspections, we're actually able to capture live quality data as the operator is going through his job. We are also able to monitor productivity and efficiency. So we can bring in standard times, setup times, work orders, and quantities, and in VKS Pro actually monitor the real-time output, units completed, any non-conformancies that took place, and all of the data that we collect, both from a quality point of view and a productivity point of view, gets stored in a reporting and KPI section. So there is a managerial dashboard where you can come in and you can view all of the data that's being collected all live in real time. And this is where you can see all the data starting to be at your fingertips. We're starting to get closer towards being an Industry 4.0 connected factory. The last module is focused around integration. So enterprise is really where we start to see the essence of Industry 4.0 come into play. Enterprise encompasses everything that we discussed in Lite and Pro, but also has the ability to connect with other softwares. So whether that be ERP systems, quality management systems, MES systems, any type of software that you want to be able to push and pull data back and forth from, you can do that with Enterprise. You can also use VKS to export data. So if you want to have custom reports outside of our software, drop them in other databases, you can do that as well. And lastly, we also have the ability to not just connect with other softwares, but also with tools and machines. So we have two different add-ons in VKS. One is called VKS Tool Connect. And what that allows you to do is actually connect the software with the tools and machines being used on the shop floor, whether that be assembly tools such as torque wrenches or rivet guns, hardware insertion machines, press brake machines, really any type of tool or machine that can send an output signal. We can connect with that and actually automatically advance the work instructions based off of the signal of the tool. So the worker and the instructions are staying in sync as the operator's doing his job. The other addition is Tool Connect IoT. And the only difference between those two is with IoT, we're actually able to capture the torque value of each and every single screw that's being inserted to the product. So at the same time as we're getting traceability on the operator and his quality and productivity, we're also getting traceability on all the consumables that are being inserted into the products as well. So as you can see, we talk about all three packages. VKS can really be used as a work instruction software solely and an add-on to an existing MES, all the way to a full MES system itself. So really depending on the type of company and organization and what you already have in place. So now that we've learned a little bit more about Industry 4.0 and how we're helping to promote that, Ryan's going to talk to you guys a little bit more about Industry 4.0 in general and what exactly it means.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. So again, as we were discussing, and a lot of the theme around here that we're seeing is really about the fourth industrial revolution. And there's really a lot of different facets to that are occurring. So we're seeing a lot of different topics around big data. You've got advanced machinery and robotics that are doing, working faster. They're streaming data live in real time. And really one of the main essences, I guess you could say, of the fourth industrial revolution is this idea of a connected factory, that all of the systems are working in synchronization, that managers have data in real time, and that operators actually have all of the information that they need available at their fingertips at any given moment. So these are some of the, the large topics. We're seeing new protocols such as MT Connect and so on. But what a lot of people, may start to wonder is, where do people actually fit into this fourth industrial revolution? What is the role that they actually play? So naturally speaking, when we see different revolutions that have occurred over time, in some instances, such as the assembly line back in the day, it actually made the company more efficient and reduced the amount of operators that were required. So naturally, some people might be a little fearful that with Industry 4.0, there may actually be, robots or similar types of items that may actually take their jobs. But this isn't actually a reality as to what's occurring today. Again, what is actually one of the facets of Industry 4.0 is that the operator now has the ability to become connected to the factory. So rather than having, again, a robot performing their job at the station, instead the operator is going to have tools that can help them ensure to be as effective as possible. Now, again, speaking about this topic of, Industry 4.0 and so on, again, a lot of people tend to think and focus more on machinery. And obviously, machinery and automation is a very exciting topic. There's lots of advancements that are occurring, and really it provides a lot of different, channels for increased profit within an organization. But what a lot of people tend to forget in this picture is, again, how the operator fits into that. So if a company is looking, again, to improve themselves, again, very exciting to have advanced machinery, but if they have an operator who's setting that up that's not setting it up correctly, well, suddenly the machine's not actually going to be able to fulfill its potential. Similarly, you also have operators performing in-process inspections alongside a machine. You have them stacking parts at the end, and you even have them, of course, doing manual operations in different environments, ranging from assembly to welding and so on. So really one of the main things that the fourth industrial revolution is helping to bring is this idea of man-machine collaboration, where the operator and the machine can work in sync to ensure that the machine can actually realize the success that it was designed to achieve. So again, just coming back very briefly to what some of the tools are that a connected operator may need on the shop floor. We discussed a few briefly already, but some of these items may range from, again, step-by-step instructions on how to do the job, drawings on how to build to print, essentially, set up sheets, and of course, quality checklists. The operator needs to know what they need to inspect, where they need to inspect, what the tolerances need. So it's lots of different materials that can actually help the operator in their tasks. Now, what has actually happened with this is that these items have been around for a long time. Work instructions aren't really a new concept. But what happened in the past was a lot of these documents were actually in a paper-based format. And this causes really a lot of issues on the shop floor. You have to deal with revision changes. If there's a new version being released by our customer, you have to update the documentation. You have to print it out, bring it to the shop floor, replace the binder that's there. And then, of course, you have the operators who are actually following these procedures, and they're working at their station, and they're not going to sit there and necessarily want to flip through this booklet when they're reading small lines of text and have little images beside it. So what this actually had kind of occurred within manufacturing is that these items, such as work instructions and so on, they became more of a burden than actually a tool that can help the operators. And what this concept of transitioning to a paperless factory is bringing is that it's really helping to turn these items back into a beneficial tool that operators appreciate to have. So again, coming back to Industry 4.0, and again, a lot of different things going on, but some people may actually perceive it as a bit of a mountain to climb. So I'm sure there's some companies here who are very advanced in their operations, others who are still using paper documentation and starting to look that direction. But if you don't necessarily approach it in the right manner, it can seem like a bit of a mountain to climb. It could be like a daunting task to actually look towards these improvements. So it's really important that when you're looking towards 4.0 that you approach it in a strategic fashion and treat it as small incremental improvements that will bring benefits along the way, similar to many other initiatives that are performed within manufacturing. So some items to address when you're looking to begin implementing new systems, whether it be, again, new machinery or machine monitoring softwares or digital work instructions. You may start to look at areas with low productivity where you have issues with your operations, or areas with high amount of rejects, Or you may have some products that you build that really require high levels of traceability. So by identifying some of the pain points within the organization, companies can actually begin to create a path as to how they can improve those. And again, we're seeing lots of different interesting, exciting elements within the field of manufacturing, ranging from, again, new machinery to machine monitoring software such as Memex over here, and a lot of, I guess, a rebirth of manufacturing execution systems where they're becoming more readily available. So companies can actually take advantage of these tools, and as long as they, again, approach it in a plan, do, check, act mentality, they'll be able to achieve success in adopting all of these new concepts. Now, what we'd actually like to do next is, of course, VKS being a paperless solution, we'd like to paint a bit of a picture as to how we recommend companies to approach the concept of transitioning to a paperless factory. So I'll let you take that away again, Kyle.
Yep. So keep in mind, based off of what Ryan was saying, this is our recommendation on how to transition to a paperless factory, simply from A to Z, right? So sometimes it can seem like a mountain to climb. The best way to approach and make it achievable is to break it off into modules. Similar to the way that I was describing light to enterprise, modular based like that. This is what you're going to kind of see in this timeline as well in this transition. So first thing that we always recommend for companies to do is to simply go digital. Take all of your documentation that's existing, whether it be your drawings, your control plans, your setup sheets, obviously your work instructions, and get them into a digital platform. Just by doing that right away, you're going to see immediate benefits, based off a lot of the issues that Ryan was just talking about in terms of revision control and updates and just having operators follow along work instructions that are outdated and not even following them at all. The second step is, now that we have everything into a platform, we want to take advantage of it. So we want to go more visual with it. Incorporate pictures, incorporate videos into the instructions. We want to actually show the operators how to do their job. I speak to a lot of companies that talk about some of the issues that they have, and one thing that comes up a lot of the times is that they have a lot of different operators that do the exact same job 10 different ways, right? So we don't want to have 10 different people do the exact same job 10 different ways. If somebody's doing it in 4 minutes and somebody's doing it in 6 minutes, we want to find the way that the guy's doing it in 6 minutes, capture it with videos, standardize on that process, and show it to everybody so that we can bring everybody up to that same level, right? It's that old classic saying, a picture says 1,000 words, but it's very relevant, specifically when giving directions. Step 3 is, now that we've gone digital and visual with our documentation, we want to go digital with our checklist as well. So it's about encompassing your quality inspections, your sign-offs directly into the work instructions. By doing this, the operator is going to be being prompted with his inspections as he does his job. Everybody is aware of the fact that a lot of the times you have to inspect a certain percentage of your units, a certain amount of units. And a lot of the times it ends up happening that parts 91 through 100 get inspected instead of every 10, 20, 30, 40. So just by doing this and putting your inspections directly into VKS, you're going to have your inspections prompt the operator at the appropriate times. They aren't allowed to continue in the process until the inspections are filled out, and we're collecting live quality data all at the same time. So it's acting as an interaction point while collecting quality data at the same time. Lastly, or step 4, we should start monitoring productivity and efficiency. By doing this, you're going to have live real-time data as to whether operators are keeping up to date with the standard times. We are even able to send an email out when somebody falls off of track. So let's say 15-20% of their efficiency has fallen off for that day. As a manager, you can receive an email to take immediate action rather than wait out to the end of the job to find out that somebody took 2 hours over the allotted time. So having all this data live in real time at your fingertips is really when we start to talk about Industry 4.0. It's the big data, and it's all immediately available to managers and operators as well. So what we have here at step 5 is really a fully loaded Industry 4.0 connected cell. And what it's doing is incorporating all the steps that we just mentioned. So this is an operator working at his workstation. He has his work instructions in front of him, showing him live what to do step by step as he's performing the job. His productivity is being monitored, so we know that he's on time, how many units he's done, and all of the live KPI graphs are showing to the managers that his operators are following everything and that they're on track. He has his quality checks that are prompting him to do his inspections at the appropriate times, and we're collecting live quality data as he's doing the job. And we've also taken it a step further here, and we've connected with the tool machine. So we have the Tool Connect IoT. So as work instructions are advancing, as he's doing the job, we're collecting the torque values, and what we're ending up with is 100% traceability on all aspects of the manufacturing process, from the operator to his quality inspections, to his performance, all the way to the consumables that are being entered into the part. So this is example 1 of more of a manual, I guess, operation. We have a second example in more of an automated method, right? And it's the same concepts apply. We have an operator working next to a machine here. His work instructions might be setup sheets, there might be maintenance procedures. But again, we're tied directly in with the machine. We're feeding the operator his instructions live as he does the job. We're getting prompted to do inspections based off of a certain percentage of units that are being completed or a certain amount of time. And by being connected with the machine, we're able to do a couple things. One, we can prompt for the inspections at the appropriate times. Two, we can also send emails out to, for example, maintenance, quality, or engineering if a tool breaks. We can stop the machine and send that email out right away. We can even tie in, Ryan was mentioning Memex, we can tie in with OEE type softwares as well for machine monitoring. So we're able to display uptime, downtime of the machine. And again, when we're talking about KPIs and big data, managers are able to see a live real-time view of all of the statistics and performance from not just the operator, but now from the machine as well. So this is really, I guess, the full essence of an Industry 4.0 connected factory, is having everybody connected with live information and providing them with the necessary tools to be as effective and efficient as possible.
Yep.
So we'll leave it to Ryan, I guess, to just wrap off on the presentation and talk a bit about the benefits and what we expect to see next in Industry 4.0.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. So again, just to kind of elaborate a bit further, as you could see, there's a lot of different items and ways you could take advantage of Industry 4.0 and the tools that are available. And as we saw in the last couple diagrams, again, a company is not forced to just go from point A, where they maybe have a lot of paper documentation, straight to this supercell where they've got everything integrated into one environment. You can take incremental steps, and as you do that along the way, you're going to receive many different benefits. Now, when we're talking about these different benefits, of course, we've discussed a few already, but there's really quite a few different ones available when you're looking at implementing new technologies. Some of these range from reducing defects. So again, you have informed operators, you have in-process quality checks. Really makes it a lot easier for the operators to perform their jobs as they're desired. Another major element is increased productivity, of course. So when we're talking about new and advanced machinery, these are helping to actually increase the output of the products. When you've got machine monitoring software in place, you're able to have better insight into how your machines are performing and actually initiate improvement items. And of course, when you get back to the operator a bit, if you're referring to, again, digital work instructions, simply by standardizing on that best methodology, companies can see massive increases in their productivity. Again, Kyle had mentioned earlier that, and I'm sure a lot of you experience it here today, you have operators doing things in quite a few different ways, sometimes taking 5 minutes, sometimes taking 7. So to zero in on that 5-minute process and have everyone follow that, you're really increasing the productivity of the full workforce. Now, in addition to a lot of these different items, a major element is, of course, the traceability and accountability. With these tools that are available now, you're able to have full insight into your operations and be able to associate who did what and when and how long they took. All the quality data that was captured could be zeroed in and associated down to a serial number if you had to go to that level. And you also have higher levels of accountability. So there's no more mystery as to what's happening on the shop floor. It's not, I thought I did it this way, or I confirmed the detail, but there's no records of it. Now you have digital evidence every time as to who did what and how long they took and all the confirmations that were made. So this promotes higher levels of actual work ethic as they're operating, because the operators know that they're being acknowledged and addressing certain items. So when we think about what's actually coming next, two major items that we foresee in the future, which I'm sure a lot of you again have heard of quite a bit about. One is seeing more and more robotic companions within the manufacturing environment. Again, today we're starting to see certain instances of that where robots are actually working alongside operators and helping them to improve output. And we believe that this is something that will continue to trend in that direction. Now, in addition to this, we're also going to see a lot more of topics such as augmented reality. Again, we're seeing different items such as Google Glasses and heads-up displays where operators could have information directly within their safety glasses. And this is a technology that, 5 years ago seemed like it was something that was way, very far off. But the reality is that we actually have quite a few companies who are starting to adopt this today, and large companies such as Apple and Microsoft who are promoting and endorsing the technology. And this is helping to actually speed up the curve of how this can actually be introduced within organizations. So over the next 3 to 5 years, I believe this will actually be something that will be a lot more commonplace within organizations. Today we're seeing companies such as Boeing and Airbus who are initiating pilots and using this technology within their assembly operations. And again, over the next couple years, this will be a technology that's available for medium-sized organizations as well, and not just limited to these larger corporations. So that's pretty well it for our presentation today. Hopefully it was very interesting for everyone. And if anyone does have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them at this point or after the presentation as well.
Any questions? Some of the customers that we have.
Yeah, well, we have quite a few different customers in different industries. Unfortunately, we're not necessarily at liberty to list them out due to non-disclosure agreements and so on. But generally speaking, we have, I guess, two brackets of customers. One being similar to that organization that originally created our solution, where they're in a high-mix, low-volume environment. And really, they're seeing benefit from the standardization and increase in productivity. The other bracket of customer being more in the regulated industries, such as aerospace and medical, where they're actually, more or less, it's mandatory to have work instructions and detailed procedures and have high levels of traceability. So generally speaking, our customers tend to be within those two brackets. And I would say the majority fall within the medium-sized organization, but we do also have a few small mom-and-pop shops who are using the solution, as well as quite a few Fortune 500 organizations as well who are implementing it globally.
Range of cost for software. Well, I mean, I can answer that for you as well. Just the question was the range of cost for the software. The pricing structure, the price of the software, essentially, the range. The software is sold in two different models. We have a cloud-based version and the ability for companies to host it on their own server. So the difference being the cloud-based is a software as a service, it's monthly payments. Whereas companies that choose to host it on their own server typically tend to be more highly controlled environments, aerospace, medical device companies that don't want to go on the cloud. They're purchasing the software outright and buying it, so it's one-time payment. But either way, the modules that were discussed at the beginning of the presentation, the light, professional, enterprise, those are the three modules that we sell the software. So it really allows for companies to start at a basic of just creating work instructions. If they're ready to incorporate inspections directly into the processes from the beginning, they can go right into Pro. And then at the point of time, if they're ever ready to start integrating with tools and machines or their ERP, they can jump up to Enterprise. Just to give a basic understanding of pricing, because there are quite a few variables depending on users and locations and whatnot, but our pricing ranges from about $250 a month on the cloud upwards to $850. And if you purchase it and host it on your own server, it can range from roughly $15,000 to $27,000. No problem. Yeah. Any other questions? That comes with 25 user licenses floating. Yeah. And then you can add more, obviously, as you go.
Yeah.
All of them come with 25. Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you everyone for your time today. Again, hopefully it was an insightful presentation. And if anyone does want to learn more, we do have a booth just down this aisle where we're also demoing the software
Our
today.
booth is right behind the wall over here if you guys want to come talk more, if anybody wants to come talk more. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.